The great festival of democracy has begun. Parts of India are voting today in the first round of a gigantic 7-phase national election. Results will be announced on May 23rd. A total of 91 seats across 20 states and union territories are voting today. In UP, the state which sends the maximum number of lawmakers to the Lok Sabha, voting is being held in 8 of its 80 seats. Interestingly, on test is the alliance of the bitter rivals Akhilesh Yadav and Mayawati. In the 2014 Lok Sabha elections, BJP had won all these 8 seats. But that was when Mayawati's BSP and Akhilesh Yadav's SP were on opposite sides. Prashant, how different are the ground realities today?
Well, it is a completely different political theatre. In 2014, you had BJP on one side. This was in the wake of the Muzaffarnagar riots. BJP won, as you said, 8 on 8 seats. The SP and the BSP have come together after 25, 26 years. The last time the two parties had been in an alliance was in an assembly election way back in 1993. There is a third important player in Western UP, particularly in these 8 seats which are voting right now as we speak. The Rashtra Lok Dal, which is a Jat-dominated party of Chaudhry Charan Singh, his now Ajit Singh and Jayant Chaudhary run the party, and they are also a part of the Grand Alliance. And then you have Congress, which is another actor and which is contesting separately in 6 of the 8 seats because they have not put up candidates in Muzaffarnagar and Balakot in 2 seats, right? So what you have is a complex political theatre right now, and BJP is trying to defend its turf. It lost the Kairana seat in a by-poll last year, but it holds 7 on these 8 seats. You have the SP and the BSP and RLD, which is banking on the demographic of this region. This is a region which has a substantial segment of Muslims in each constituency. It has a substantial segment of Dalits, and within Dalits, the Jatav subcaste, which is the subcaste most loyal to the BSP. Yeah. And then Jats. And Jats last time had gone, again, substantially with the BJP. But the RLD is hoping that now that communal polarization has diminished a little bit because the riots are a thing of the past, that Jats would return to the party. So the alliance is banking on this social combination of Jats, Jatavs and Muslims. Yadavs are not in very high numbers in at least the 8 seats that are going to polls. The BJP is relying on a social coalition of upper castes as well as the other smaller backward castes. They continue to also believe that a large number of Jats will stay with them. Congress is playing the role of the third force. In certain seats, it is splitting the votes of the alliance. It's put up Muslim candidates in Saharanpur and Bijnor. Yeah. In certain other seats, the Congress believes that it is going to eat into the votes of the BJP, where it has put up candidates from the Jat community or the Gujjar community. So what we are seeing is a complex election. There is this is the triangle that is at play. The BJP will find it challenging to retain all that it won, despite the arithmetic in its favor. To convert that arithmetic into votes and victory will be the challenge for the alliance. And the Congress, we will have to see whether Congress is able to convert certain seats into victories or whether it is only playing the role of a spoiler. And if it is playing the role of a spoiler, who is it? Whose prospects is this?
Interestingly, you spoke about Congress and about it, because in many of these seats in 2014, the SP-BSP combined vote share was higher than the BJP's vote share, and yet because they were contesting separately, they kind of became irrelevant in the larger scheme of things. But now, this time around, when you say that how they are able to convert, see the equation, the arithmetic is on their side. How do you think that is going to play out? You've traveled extensively in these areas, in these constituencies over the past few weeks and months. What is your sense of whether will they be able to do this conversion, or will they be found lacking?
So just a small clarification there. Across the state, in 41 seats, the SP-BSP combined votes were higher than that of the BJP.
Right.
But in these 8 seats, the margin of the BJP victory last time was so high that the combined vote share of the SP-BSP also was not more than that of the BJP in a majority of these 8 seats, in 7 of the 8 seats, if I have my 5 side. Okay. But if you add RLD to the mix, then of course the alliance vote share is higher in a greater number of seats than just the SP and the BSP. See, when I talked about whether they will be able to convert, which was your question. What we saw in the Saharanpur rally, which happened on Sunday, which was the first rally of the Grand Alliance, we saw the high degree of organizational synergy between SP, BSP and RLD. So SP workers were wearing BSP caps, BSP workers were, with
Which would have
SP
been
flags,
unheard of,
which would have been, these have been
really 6 months ago.
rivals. And you also have to remember that Jats and Muslims were at the forefront of the riots 5 years ago.
Right.
They've had a very, very tense relationship, but now we did see that a certain section of Jats were willing to vote for this alliance, and SP was seen as a pro-Muslim party, RLD was seen as a Jat party, Muslims are willing to vote for RLD. So, so there was, these are people who are associated with the organization, party organization. Right. So there is a degree of high organizational synergy. The question is, will these communities on a large scale vote for the party in the fray in that constituency? So that is something that we have to see, because India has also changed. I don't think the caste blocks are homogeneous. I think identity is very, very important. Right. I think identity politics drives a lot of our electoral calculations. But whether there are sections of these communities which break away is something that we have to see. I also want to introduce one more point, which I briefly referred to earlier, was that while this is a formidable social coalition, there is a formidable social coalition on the other side also, which is that the BJP is no longer just an upper caste party, which used to be the perception earlier. Right. The BJP has made deep inroads among the smaller OBC groups. The challenge for BJP is that even if it is able to retain its vote share of the last time, all its voters stick together, that may not be enough, because the other side has the vote share of the other side, because it's all they are together, is going to be higher than that of the BJP. So this is the
challenge that stares
this is the peculiarity of the first past the post system, right? Yeah. In nationally, BJP had 31% of the vote last time, but in UP they had 40% of the vote. Right. With 40% of the vote, they swept. But at that point, 60% were against them.
The BJP perhaps you think the party is banking on Congress splitting the votes and therefore giving them an edge in certain constituencies?
The BJP is, and it's interesting that we have still not mentioned his name, but the BJP is fundamentally banking and only banking on Narendra Modi. They believe that it is the Prime Minister's image, the Prime Minister's popularity, some of the rural welfare work that he has done in terms of housing, toilet construction, opening bank accounts, gas cylinders, giving direct income to farmers in the last few months, and Balakot. Yeah. And the upsurge in nationalist sentiment that we have seen post the Balakot strikes. That is what they are fundamentally banking on. And they're banking on the fact that the other side does not have a prime ministerial alternative in the fray. Now, before I come to the Congress, the BJP's biggest strength is indeed Modi. He remains astoundingly popular, and I think that he remains as popular as I saw 2 years ago in the assembly elections. But their biggest vulnerability is that their local candidates are very unpopular. In terms of tactics in many seats, they will hope that the Congress will end up cutting the votes of the alliance and help the BJP make it in seats with close margins. And one does see that in constituencies where the BSP is in the fray, the Congress has put up candidates who has the potential to cut the alliance votes. There is a very, very tense... Yeah. No, it's Saharanpur, in Bijnor, in other places. And but the Congress, the alliance hopes that upper caste candidates of the Congress will end up cutting the votes of the BJP instead. So we have to see how much damage the Congress does to whom.
And what is the sense that you got on the ground? I mean, from the people that you met and you interacted with, you say that Modi is as popular but there is no talk of a real Modi wave as was 5 years ago or even 2 years ago. Do you think Balakot has changed the perceptions to some extent?
I travelled in December, and when I travelled to UP in December, I thought the BJP was in real trouble because their own social coalition had cracked. The upper castes were unhappy, the smaller OBC groups seemed to be drifting away, people were not as enamored of Modi. And when I went back after Balakot in the first week of March, I saw the revival of the support that I had discerned, or one had discerned in 2017 or even earlier, right? So I think this has really and a lot of steps that the BJP took before Balakot too. I think the 10% reservations for economically weaker sections among general castes, as well as the direct income support to farmers. So all of that, but Balakot really bolstered Modi's reputation again. The thing about a wave is that you can only know whether there was a wave after the election.
After the elections.
These are all things that in 2014 or even
Nobody really
17,
was talking about
it's
that.
after
Absolutely.
the numbers come in that somebody
there
said
was a
that,
wave.
somebody
Yeah.
said this to me once, and I find it very interesting that you can only understand an election after the election is over. So I think we will know whether
Especially
there
in India.
whether there was a wave or not once the numbers are in. We'll all be wiser then.
All right. So let's come back to the Congress. And then when you talk about Congress, of course, and UP, you obviously talk about Priyanka Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi and Amethi and Raebareli. They go to elections, they go to vote much later in the latter phases of the 7-phase election that we're having. But Smriti Irani is filing her nomination today. And of course, Rahul Gandhi choosing Wayanad as his second constituency, or the second seat that he's fighting from, has obviously set the cat among the pigeons. So there's this whole narrative that the BJP is, of course, trying, and Smriti Irani is now, of course, trying to set that, he's running away, bhagoda hai, and all of that jazz. How do you see, but there is no denying the fact that Smriti Irani has done a lot of work in Amethi. How do you see this? Because this is again a prestige seat for the Congress, Amethi and Raebareli, of course. How do you see Rahul Gandhi's decision to contest from Wayanad? Of course, Congress says that it's purely to sort of as a tribute to the South and as to keep the South stronghold together. But obviously, the BJP sees different angles in it. How are you viewing this?
So I think it's a little premature to talk about Amethi because, as you said, it's still at least 4 phases away. Right. Rahul Gandhi just filed his nomination yesterday. Smriti Irani is probably filing it today. So I think we will only have a better sense of the constituency in a few weeks once campaigning really picks up and the mood becomes clearer. I think Raebareli is no contest. Mrs. Gandhi is going to sweep. And even Amethi, I traveled to Amethi in the last election, and one could see that there was a degree of disillusionment with Rahul Gandhi, and the perception that they were in the UPA and Congress were in power for 10 years, and more work could have been done, and that is why we saw Smriti Irani actually bridge the margin. The margin of victory that Rahul had dipped. This time around, I think a few things have changed. On one hand, yes, Smriti Irani has kept going back. She is visible. She has, most people, once they lose a constituency, leave the constituency. She has nurtured it to a certain extent, and I think she deserves credit for it. At the same time, what has also changed is Rahul Gandhi is today the Congress party president. Rahul is today the foremost leader in the opposition.
And has a much wider responsibility than Amethi.
And he also has he has more of a stature today than he had in 2014. He is the principal leader of the opposition. So I think the trade-off for the Amethi voter is going to be: do we want to continue to vote for this family? And many in Amethi say actually that this is what has given us an identity. Yes, they have not worked. They will complain and they'll say they could have done so much for us, and the degree, and you can see the development indicators, they're weak. But they say, but this family has given, and our association with it has given us an identity. So will that prevail? And will they continue to want to remain attached with Rahul Gandhi, whose political fortunes, either way, irrespective of the outcome, will remain a very important political figure? Right. Or is their degree of disillusionment and anger so high against the Congress and their attraction to Modi so high that they will switch sides? I don't have an answer to that question. I would be very, very surprised if Rahul loses. I still think that that there would be he would have an edge.
He would have an edge. Thank you so much, Prashant. Thank you for your time. And of course, 8 of the 80 seats in Uttar Pradesh are voting today. By the end of the day, the fates of all the candidates in these 8 seats will be sealed. But there are 6 more phases to go, and let's wait and watch. And elections are unpredictable, as we just discussed. And keep watching HindustanTimes.com for more updates.